All right, so Wim Hof said this about fear. Fear is a natural process, a natural signal. If you ignore fear, you're not dealing with the situation as is. You need to have fear, respect of what's going to happen. If you don't respect it, you can't deal with it. Okay, fear is a natural process. That's Wim Hof. That's great, I like that. Now, here's the thing. In the mindfulness community, they talk about fear being bad all the time. So I want to talk about that. I want to unpack a bit when fear is good, when fear is bad. Hi, I'm Tim Welch. This is my YouTube account, Selfless Awakening, where I talk about mindfulness, I talk about self-betterment, self-fulfillment, how to get the most out of being a human. I study lots of different teachers of lots of different practices, and I like to connect the dots and share my findings of teachers, and also, trying to share to be of service to others. I feel that that's such an amazing use of social media, of YouTube, of all of these ways that we can connect with one another through the internet now. And it almost feels like I have so many gifts that have been given to me that I've discovered, and from both working with other people and myself, that almost feels selfish not to share this stuff. So that's what this channel is all about. If you like what I'm talking about, subscribe, click the little notification to stay up to date on my latest stuff, okay? So let's talk about fear. Wim Hof says fear is a signal, and that if you don't listen to fear, you're not doing it right. You're not humaning right, right? So but in the mindfulness community, there's most of the fear focus has to do with focusing on when fear fires at times that it's not being of service. For instance, you're at a work meeting, you're about to do a presentation, and your mouth gets dry, your hands clam up, your heart's thumping, you feel like you can't speak, you have no energy in your voice, and you're just like, right? Like, fear is not serving you at all in that situation. That's a misfiring of fear. Those old programs of survival don't belong in that situation, right? And the mindfulness community talks about that, and I talk about that a lot too. Gay Hendricks, in his book, The Big Leap, he talks about fear in that way, in that he calls it upper limiting. When fear kicks in to stop you from going to your next level or doing something that is a next evolution of you, the very natural thing, and then fear kicks in and stops you, that's called upper limiting. And I talk about that a lot. I've spoken about that on several other videos, but I'm not talking about that today, how to deal with fear when it kicks in times that are not being of service to you. I want to talk in this video about when is fear actually good for you, other than when you're being attacked by a lion, or maybe a group of people, you're walking down the street and you see some energy and there's some interaction. Like, other than that, like, there are times where you can be very afraid of people. Like, they get a vibe of like, whoa, I'm not going that way, I'm gonna go this way, It's like, in those situations, fear is obvious. It's an immediate survival tool. However, when is fear okay and functional for you when it's not an immediate survival tool, okay? Here's when it's functional. It's functional when you're doing a behavior that may not be killing you today, it may not be killing you even a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years from now, but there is likelihood that what you're doing, if you perpetuate it for 20, 30, 40 years, that behavior could shorten your life. For instance, like smoking, like chain smoking cigarettes all day. That may not kill you today, it may not kill you tomorrow. I mean, shit, it may not even kill you at all. You may live to be 95 chain smoking, and your body was able to handle that. But I would say that's likely not the case. I would say if you're chain smoking for 40, 50 years, it's probably going to have some effect on your longevity, right? So it's that kind of idea. Or drinking, like, if you're having a glass of wine every night, they say that's not bad. Like, a glass of wine can be of service to you. What if you're having 4 glasses of wine every night? How long is it, what's that going to do to the back end of your life? Think about that. And you may wake up in the middle of the night, like if you're chain smoking, you wake up in the middle of the night, or you get up in the morning and you start coughing, and you cough up, and then it's gross, but let's say something comes, like a black gunk comes out of your lungs, and you blow it into a Kleenex, and you look at that and you go, and you freak out because you think, oh my God, like my smoking is causing gunk in my lungs and I can see it right there. And I know that's super gross example, but that in that situation, fear kicks in, heart starts racing, your mind goes down the track of you with lung disease or whatever, dying from emphysema. You're seeing yourself in a hospital, feeling, or you think about the tracheotomy, and you're just having like your worst case scenario. You freak out, and the mind goes down the road, seeing how that behavior could lead to the shortening your life or killing you. And in that case, that's a good fear. That's a great fear. We have fear is a whole different tool now because we're living a long time relative to the past. Before, fear was good enough to get you out of the bear cave alive. Now we're thinking about longevity. We're thinking about behaviors that can kill us. And in that way, honoring our fears, listening to them, let your clammy hands, let that heart racing, let that cold sweat you woke up in the middle of the night freak the fuck out that you've been doing the drugs or smoking or drinking or doing behaviors, whatever it is you're doing to your body that's unhealthy for your body that you know you shouldn't do, but you keep doing it. Could even be eating 5 cheeseburgers from McDonald's every day at lunch or something, or 3, I don't know, 4, however many cheeseburgers are unhealthy. The point is, it's about you listening to the fear, and it's about fear of survival isn't just fear of immediate survival. Fear of survival is fear of longevity, fear of not having a fulfilling life. Those are good fears to listen to. And there is an intuitive voice inside of us that goes, if you keep doing that, you could really fuck yourself up. Like there's an actual voice inside of us, if we listen to it and honor it, that will talk to us like that. And being mindful isn't about ignoring that voice. As Wim Hof was saying, it's a signal. This is an indicator, and we need to listen to these indicators. So that came to me today as something to talk about. Fear is a good thing. Fear helps us survive, and provided we're using fear and letting fear work in the way that it can work. It's that little guidance system that says, don't go down that street, don't go jump in the lion cage, don't smoke 2 packs a day, don't smoke. Like, there's a voice in your head, that's a preservation voice. Listen to that, okay? When fear is activating in the other way, when fear is activating irrationally, there are lots of other things you can do. This is where meditation is so powerful. This is where reframing, this is where the Wim Hof method really activates. The breathing, the cold exposure, stepping out of things, you know? So, there you go. I wanted to do that video. If that makes sense to you, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it, or subscribe and stay up to date for the latest stuff, all right? So, have a beautiful week, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Cheers.